Hey guys, we're over here again working on the Mustang. God, I want to call this day 6. Trying to work on it as much as I can. As you can see, we are working on the drive shaft. Preparing this for new U-joints, and the first step is to take out the old U-joints. You can see over here on my other end here, I just have this resting in the vise so you can see, but I just removed the existing U-joint out of here. It's a pretty straightforward process. I don't have a press, of course, but I do have a vise. So, you know, we did this the standard way where you just basically, with the U-joint installed, you set the T of the U-joint on the jaws of the vise, making sure none of the actual drive shaft is on the vise, and you hit it with an impact socket, such as this, with an opening large enough for the cap to fit through the center. So basically you're pushing the drive shaft down onto that cap, and it allows the cap to pop up. You do it for each side and you can pull the caps off. So that's where we're at here. Next I'm going to be working on this side, and then I'm going to go ahead and give the drive shaft a nice bath and a nice clean coat of paint, and get everything meticulous and clean, and then get ready for installation. The transmission is in the car. I didn't document as much as I should have, only because I did this by myself, which if you guys are gonna attempt to install the transmission by yourself, I want to make 2 suggestions. One, set aside a good bit of time for frustration and getting pissed off and walking away and coming back. And 2, I highly advise investing in one of those transmission jacks right there. That is basically a lifesaver when it comes to actually installing this. And a lot of people don't realize this, but when you have the transmission sitting in there, it wants to ride, the engine wants to ride forward on the mounts because it's only on 2 mounts. So when you're raising that transmission in there, the actual engine has to be lifted on the front of the motor to tilt it back a little bit, so everything lines up. That was part of my problem initially. And then of course you want to make sure your torque converter bolts and everything, or your torque converter studs and everything, slide right through. But you can see in there, she's in there, and I'm getting ready to install the rear transmission mount onto that Prothane red mount that you see there. Kind of bad lighting, but you get the idea. So we've got our starter installed. Actually, I'll get under here with you guys here. Here we go. Okay, you can see we got our starter installed. That's the a Summit Racing. What are you doing, Jax? Jax, come here. Putz. That's the Summit Racing 3 horsepower high torque starter that I have installed with all brand new hardware and washers. I have all grade 8 fasteners attaching the bell housing to the block, which are 7/16 by 14, and make sure everything is aligned properly so you don't have any cross threading. I almost had an issue there. And then of course we have our transmission over here waiting to accept the cross member. And I'm sorry about the poor lighting. I don't think I have a flashlight down here I can use. But anyway, that's been my view for the last 3 days, coming back and forth installing this thing by myself. You can see the freshly painted flywheel, or flex plate I should say, up there with the new grade 8 nuts on it. So it's coming along slowly but surely. Definitely had to cut more of the exhaust off back here because you can't get that transmission in there with the existing exhaust there. Don't even try it. So that had to be done, but we know that already. We're replacing that. So that's where we are. So drive shaft, U-joints, all that needs to be perfect and pretty and clean and ready to go. I'll go ahead and I'll install the cross member, install the drive shaft, put the dipstick back in the transmission, and then hopefully I'll be able to be done being underneath this car. We do still have to run the nitrous plumbing line, but I don't know if I'm going to do that now or if I'm going to wait. So that's that. So I will provide an update here once I have all the U-joints out of this drive shaft and I got a coat of paint on it. I might do a video showing how to pop that U-joint out. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for watching, guys. And as always, I appreciate your subscription and your views and your comments. And let's work on some stuff together, huh? What do you think, Jax? That's what I thought. Good boy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, the first thing you want to do to remove the U-joint on one of these Fords is I just have my U-joint resting here on the vise just so it doesn't roll. Nothing's clamped down. Don't clamp anything down. Don't use the clamp on the vise. First thing you want to do is you're going to see these little funky looking rings. Get yourself a good set of needle nose pliers. This is, I think, $1 pair of needle nose pliers from Advance Auto. They'll do the job fine. What you want to do is, this is like a pinch ring. So you'll see as I pinch, it wants to come together, and all this does is fit in a groove. So while I hold the camera here, I'm going to twist and pop it out, and there's your little snap rings. So you put them over here with your snap rings, and before you can go any further, you have another one on the other side over here, and actually on this side you have 4 of them because you have the yoke that attaches here too, so a little bit more involved. Same thing on this side. Give it a good squeeze, and I've noticed with this drive shaft, you can see with the lighting, it gets a little sticky, so you want to kind of pry from each side like that until it's free moving, and then go ahead and finagle it out of here. There's another one. Okay. Flip it over again. Get some on the yoke side. And they get a little sticky, so this one might, there we go. There you go. 3. Can we get 4 that are going to cooperate? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let's see, what do you think? There. Looks like it. Looks like we got some cooperation. Oh, I don't know. Sticky. And for the ones that stick, you want to look at what side's sticking, which is the left side. See how this part right here is kind of stuck in here? What I'm going to do, I'm going to slightly tap it this direction with a hammer, slightly, and it's going to knock it loose here. So give me a second, I must set this down. While I do this, I'll probably edit this out, so. There we go, that one popped right out. You didn't see it, but it popped out, I promise. There it is, gone. Okay, so now the next step of the game here is going to be, we're going to lightly tap it on the edge here, so this cap can ride upward into the socket. So we're going to use an impact style socket such as this, and it's going to hit it, and the cap is going to ride on the interior of the socket, and it's going to push the actual drive shaft down. So I don't have a tripod today, so trust me, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start that now. Okay, after some sharp blows with a hammer in the socket, we have successfully removed stage 1 of the U-joint here, and now we have just the yoke sitting here, and here's the remnants of the drive shaft cap here, and you can see it's dropped its needle bearings here, and here we have just kind of the cap sitting here in the shaft. So what I'll do now is I'll knock this cap out, I'll clean up these bearings, and then we have an empty shaft that I can go ahead and prepare for cleanup and paint. And then I'll go ahead and work on getting this joint out. And this is kind of just the same thing, rinse and repeat. You want to set the yoke with this T. I'll show you. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll show you what's going on. Just like this here. So you're going to let it hang on the jaws of the vise, and then you're going to give a couple whacks right here on the outer rim, and then let that cap ride up forward. You're going to flip it around and do it again on that side, and that'll free up the yoke, and that'll get me ready to prepare and clean up this little guy. And of course we don't want to paint this surface, but we're going to go ahead and make sure this is nice and clean and grease free, and we know that there's nothing wrong. So that's the next step in the game here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll pick it back up. It's drive shaft hell. Alright, so after I clean up these needle bearings for the next hour and a half of the magnet, they like to go everywhere. You can see that we've popped the caps out of this joint here, so I'm going to go ahead and finagle this old joint needle bearings out of this little yoke here. And once it's out, like I said, I'm going to give all this stuff a bath and some paint. But this was simple. We just rested it like that on the vise, and I just was able to actually just lightly tap it right around here on each side about 3 times, and these caps pop right off. So you don't even have to try to figure out how you're going to balance this side and hit this at the same time. It was pretty straightforward. I'm dropping needle bearings everywhere here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up, because I like to always keep a neat workspace. As you can see, you always want to make sure everything's neat and tidy, so you don't lose anything or get anything contaminated. So I'm going to clean everything up here, and then I will pick it up on the next step. Hey, let's let you in on what we got going on out here. You can see there's our drive shaft all degreased with a fresh coat. It's first fresh coat of Ford Blue to match the trans and the engine block. There's our yoke taped up. Looking nice and shiny and clean and new, which should help the overall appearance of the undercarriage, and I'll just know that it looks better and is clean. So that's the first coat. I'll go ahead and wait for this to dry. It's a pretty hot day today. It's about 90 degrees, maybe 95 in the sun, so this shouldn't take any time at all to dry. I'll go ahead and throw down another coat on that side, flip it over, get another coat on the other side. Take a look there. It's just going to look a whole lot better when you look underneath the car. This is the stuff that makes restorations, or semi-restorations in my case, resto mods, look a little bit better. Especially maybe if you ever decide to sell it or anything and they look up underneath it, they can see that you've taken the time and paid attention to detail. And of course you can see what we're using here. It's the duplicolor engine enamel, same paint code for everything so far. So this stuff stays on good, and if it gets hot under there, which it will, it's right next to the exhaust, you want to make sure you use a good high temp paint so it doesn't look like shit. So that's it. That's what it looks like for now. And I'll post another update when I get them inside and we get into installing the U-joints. And while we're waiting for the paint to dry out there, I figured we'd go ahead and take a look at these Moog U-joints that I picked up for the Mustang. These are the better ones of the types. You know, it's a Federal Mogul product, and these are the ones that are a little bit stronger, so this is the ones I'm going to run. They were like 15 or 20 bucks each, I'm not sure exactly. But this is what you get inside the box. Get the joint with all the caps installed already. You get a little bag of clips here. And if those don't look familiar, you'll remember those from when we were pulling them off the joint before. So those are nice new snap ring clips to go on to replace the old ones. Pop this one open. Some more clips. Looks like you get four with each joint. And there's the other here. So yeah, guys. Hopefully these are the right ones. I'm gonna go double check real quick. I trusted the parts guy, the counter guy, so let's make sure we got the right ones here before I go any further. I definitely don't want to start installing the wrong joints here. I'm just looking at the clips here and here. I'm gonna go grab the old joints and make sure we match up and make sure these are the right ones. So anyway, that's what you get in the box. So once that paint dries, I'll pull the joint, pull the yoke and the shaft in here, and you can see the finished result. Okay. There's the finished product. Living in Florida, or the Florida hot sun, does have some advantages, and this is one of them. It dries paint real fast. This is 3 coats of Ford Blue engine enamel on the drive shaft here. It's looking real good, right, Jax? It laid down real nice. Used a lot of degreaser first, so this doesn't scratch off and the finish stays really durable. The yoke came out very nice. Of course, we taped up where the splines would be and whatnot, so we don't get any paint in there. But this came out real nice. It's just gonna make for a more finished look. You can see it'll just look a lot better under the car. You know, I could have went traditional black, but you know, I mean, you're never going to see this stuff anyway, and when you look underneath it, it just kind of gives you that visual appeal when everything kind of matches. So I did also just find out that this 265 U-joint is incorrect. These are the old ones that came off, and they're identical in size. One's greasable, one's not. This 265 is enormous. So that's what you get for trusting the parts guys at you-know-where. So I'm going to go there and do it myself. I got the part numbers that I need, so I'm going to go ahead and match these up. But we'll do that tomorrow. This came out good for now, so this is just a little update here, and I might probably make this a two-part series so I can post this video up. I know a lot of guys are looking for an update, so I want to give it to you. So that's what's going on. So if you have any questions or anything, pipe them in the comments, and thanks again for watching. See ya.